Hello, welcome to our lecture Intonation in English Part 1. What is intonation? Why is it so important in English? We are going to find out in this lecture as well as in Part 2. Let's take a look at the two sentences on the screen. Are we going to say the sentences the same way, or is it going to depend on the context or the meaning we want to give? I'm going to say the sentences in two different ways. Try to spot the difference. My boyfriend left. My boyfriend left? Can you meet me at 10 or 11? Can you meet me at 10 or 11? So, are there any differences? Let's analyze example 1. When I say my boyfriend left, I'm just saying a statement. I'm just affirming something. But then if I say my boyfriend left, the meaning is, what do you mean? I can't believe this. Why would he leave? Therefore, intonation can change the meaning of a sentence. And why is this important? Because sometimes non-native speakers use an intonation pattern that confuse the native speaker. They are not sure about what the communication purpose is. What is this person trying to say? Let's understand intonation a little bit better. Intonation is a suprasegmental. What does that mean? Suprasegmentals are those features in English that extend beyond the individual sounds. It has to do with the rhythm and music of the language. We have final intonation, for example, ready, ready. Prominence, which is the focus of the sentence. For example, I lost an umbrella. What kind of umbrella? And then we have pitch range, which can be emotional or discoursal. An example of emotional pitch range would be, that's terrible. And an example of discoursal pitch range would be, for example, when I'm talking to my daughter and I'm scolding her about something she did, she goes like, anyway, I was thinking we could watch a movie tonight. So she's using discoursal pitch range to change the direction of the conversation. Now let's take a look at the representation of intonation. If we look at those 4 lines, we're going to have 1 as our lowest pitch, 2 as our neutral pitch, 3 as prominence or the focus of the sentence, and then number 4 would be intensified prominence. Number 4 is very common in emotional intonation. For example, when you get angry, your voice goes louder and you tend to have a higher pitch. Let's take a look at an example. So here I have a sentence. I can see it. I can see it. In this case, we have a statement, and you can see that your voice goes down at the end, falling intonation. I can see it. So we have our neutral pitch, we have our prominence, and then we have our lower pitch. Now, what happens, for example, in the case of a question? Can you see it? Can you see it? Can you see it? So this is a yes or no question, and in yes or no questions, your voice tends to go up, rising intonation. If we're talking about the normal kind of yes or no question. Can you see it? Now let's talk about intonation and tempo. Intonation is going to vary depending on the speaker. Some people speak faster than others, and that will change the intonation pattern. For example, a faster speaker would say the sentence like this. When he sees how lovely and sweet and pretty she is, he'll thank his lucky stars he was asked to dinner. A slower speaker, on the other hand, will have more pauses and then say the sentence this way. When he sees how lovely and sweet and pretty she is, he'll thank his lucky stars he was asked to dinner. As you can see, a slower speech will have a different intonation pattern. Intonation can also be used to talk about emotions or to convey emotions. Let's look at the example. I just won the lottery. I just won the lottery. In this case, this intonation contour is used for disbelief. And there is an optional utterance initial high tone. You can say it, I just won the lottery, or simply, I just won the lottery. Falling intonation. Falling intonation as well as rising intonation are the most common patterns of intonation. And that's the two kinds that teachers generally teach the students. In falling intonation, there is a jump up in pitch on the prominent syllable and then a drop in pitch after the prominent syllable to the end of the thought group. For example, John's sick. He's taken an aspirin already. These are statements. So statements contain a falling intonation. John's sick. He's taken an aspirin already. In the case of commands, we also have falling intonation. Fix him some soup. Fix him some soup. Add some noodles to it. Add some noodles to it. WH questions also have a falling intonation at the end. What should he take? What should he take? What about some cough syrup? What about some cough syrup? So statements, commands, and WH questions contain a falling intonation at the end. Here's a dialogue with falling intonations. How can I help you? I'm looking for a blazer. How about a casual blazer? Yes, something casual in wool. So here we have questions and we have statements. Therefore, we have falling final intonation. Now, falling intonation and prominence. Depending on the element you emphasize in the sentence, the meaning is going to change. What did Anne bring? The focus is on the result. Someone brought something. What did they bring? But if I change the focus, I'm going to have a different meaning. What did Anne bring? Here the focus is on the agent. What did Anne bring? Somebody brought something. I want to know what Anne brought. Now for rising intonation, a drop in pitch on the prominent syllable happens, and then there is a rise in pitch after the drop. Pitch may also rise on the prominent syllable, but that is less common in English. Let's look at an example. Yes or no questions. Generally, we have a final rising intonation. Has he finished it yet? Is he feeling better? Has he finished it yet? Is he feeling better? Statement questions. Those are questions that are not really questions like a statement. You do not invert subject and verb, but you still have that element of a question to it. He's sick. He's sick. He took some cough syrup. He took some cough syrup. So for yes or no questions and statement questions, we have a final rising intonation. Okay, this is it for now. In Lecture 2, Intonation in English Part 2, we are going to look at other patterns and other uses of intonation. Stay tuned, and thank you for watching this lecture.